Kite Man episode 4, The Portal Potty. Hell yeah. All right, guys, Brent here back with variants, cover all things Marvel, DC, Lord of the Rings, anime, gaming, Star Wars, and more. This time, Kite Man, hell yeah, episode 4. And just a friendly reminder for those who are unsubscribed to the channel, remember, 1,000 subscriber giveaway detail will be dropping this Sunday during our finale watch party of House of the Dragon Season 2. Stay tuned for that. But look, this episode was definitely more emotionally packed than you would expect from a DC animated spoof. This episode covered a lot of the backstory involving Golden Glider, a character that, truthfully, I am entirely unfamiliar with. So being able to get to see her character covered in any regard was definitely something that was very, very interesting. I gotta say, huge shout out this episode to my boy Bane. He was a highlight throughout the episode. Throughout, first of all, with the episode of them hijacking the furniture that they needed to have in their apartment for both Golden Glider and Kite Man to make that move, that extra special thing, because for some reason they're going with a nautical themed apartment together. I don't know what that's all about. And they're making fun of the ridiculous names for furniture because they were making jokes at IKEA and all the different weird names that you can see for certain things, such as like a boudoir that you would have pop up throughout the different time that you're shopping for furniture. Because honestly, sometimes furniture's just got bizarre and weird names overall. But overall, as we're learning about the apartment as things are being put together, Bane ends up having to use the restroom due to an extreme emergency and then accidentally flushes himself all the way back into the 80s. And as it turns out, Bane is absolutely in love with the 80s. He's, in fact, with the lawlessness, the lack of rules. There was people that they were getting asbestos insulation. There was no sunscreen. People were just harassing each other for just any and all general things. It was just simply the 80s. It was a simpler time. People understood some of the certain things. There were different social cues. People went about things in an entirely different manner. The way society was structured was entirely differently. So Bane was ultimately significantly happier with what was going on, and somehow he ended up back at Noonan's. As he was at Noonan's, he decided to just have a drink while he was trying to figure out the situation, try to figure out what's going on. He talked to the bar owner, who is the same bar owner that we see later on in Kite Man all the way in the 2020s, and he runs all the way into the Doubles brothers, who look significantly more useful, and they have both heads back actively alive, even though one of them acutely and accurately makes a joke, hey, I'd rather be gone than have to deal with this guy showing up on screen and having a conversation with him continuously. So a little bit of foreshadowing in that. Funny how certain things just pan out, and he ultimately got his wish with how the situation played out in that regard. As we learn more about in the current time frame involving Golden Glider and Kite Man, that Golden Glider is the reason her parents are not in this world anymore, uh, which is horrifically dark, even for most villain backstories. It's akin to Shigaraki with My Hero Academia, where ultimately, like, the stress of being around his parents caused a switch in them, and ultimately, why the parents are no longer with them is because of the stress that was caused upon the child. Golden Glider was a child who was just trying to get her parents' attention, was just basically skating around the bar. Captain Cold, her brother, was just kind of hanging out, taking photos of everything, trying to capture all the moments. And Golden Glider, in a moment of absolute rage because her mom was struck by her father, decided to snap accidentally and unintentionally. The first time her powers ever activate, she, floats out of her body, has kind of like this out of body experience, and everyone at the bar who did not take cover absolutely just taken out in a absolute drastic and insane manner, likes of which means that she was responsible for what happened to her parents. So Kite Man, now learning this information via Bane, and from finally, eavesdropping everything from Captain Cold because he went and talked to him over at his weird little van thing that he was living in for apparently obvious reasons. Because especially if you're gonna have a margarita machine in bed, I call that pretty lawless. You should not be living with anybody at that time. Just go have your margaritas elsewhere. Margaritas are fine. Make sure it's practical, everybody. But everything involving Golden Glider, Kite Man decides to try and fix so he can have an absolute photo of her up and her family up on the wall. So he decides to go back in time using the portal potty to go ahead and see what's kind of going on, try and feel out the situation, make sure that the parents can survive so that they could ultimately, raise Golden Glider, have that emotional relationship together, kind of get things really pieced out. Everyone can have a nice, happy moment in time. When he heads back in time, he comes to find out that my boy Bane has fallen helplessly in love with Golden Glider's mom, Rebecca, and is doing everything in his power to actively try and be with her. But at the same moment in time, he's not willing to take out the father, so to speak. He's just trying to be like, look, if you want him gone, please say something. I'll handle it. And that'll happen at that moment in time. And then Kite Man has to come in, pull Bane aside, and be like, look, what are you doing? What is happening here? And Bane is straight up like, look, I think the relationship's going to go somewhere. Right now, she's Rebecca. I think soon, eventually, I can call her Becca. And then if things continue going on normally, I can call her Bex. But it's like, we're just not at that moment in time in our relationship where we could be that comfortable with one another, which, only Bane would be able to draw up such a happy future together, even though he hasn't even gotten to the moment in time where there's been an actual date or an actual spark for someone to talk about actively where things are going in a direction that you can foresee a relationship. Bane's a little bit delusional, but at the same time, we love him for the big lovable idiot. And then as things have continued on throughout the episode, the series of events continue to play out, but the photo ultimately gets changed. That originally was showing only uh, Golden Glider with her father. That photo now changed and has Bane in it because he was accidentally photobombing in the background. So we can see that the effects of the past directly translate to the future. However, the events from the past continue to play out exactly the same. Becca's father, Golden Glider's father, slaps Becca, knocks her down to the ground, and then the whole series of events continues to play out, but Golden Glider is able to save Kite Man. Bane, however, alters the future because of who else but Bane would be the person in order to do it. Bane pulls Becca over behind the bar, ultimately changing the future. Golden Glider's mom not only is alive, but as we see going back into the current time frame, she is being held captive in a cage where green smoke is being constantly released into the area. We saw in the past that Scarecrow was kind of hanging out in the background. There was no audible volume from this character. There wasn't even like more of a showing on him. Just he was kind of like a background character overall. Someone we could potentially have floating around, have that be some fear gas that's floating around, or we could have something else crazy going on because Becca's mom, literally the minute she figured out that she didn't have to like stay with her husband because he's no longer of this world, that she literally ran out on Captain Cold and Golden Glider, which Bane then eventually just dumped on them, be like, look, everything's exactly the same. I'm not raising two kids. I'm out. Peace. Ran off, did his own thing. And now we're back trying to figure out what in the world happened to Golden Glider's mom, Becca. So things are going to continue to play out weirdly in that regard. Another sound episode from DC Animated Team. I enjoyed it. I hope you did as well. Sure that lovely red subscribe button helps you be entered into our giveaway. Remember, Sunday night for House of the Dragon Season 2 finale. We'll have more official details dropping then about how everything will go involving that. I've been Brent for Geek Variants. You'll see me next time for Batman the Cape Crusader breakdown or My Hero Academia's live stream. See you then, folks.